Hello YouTube, this is Galactic Marine 501 / jexamwolfexia. Here today reviewing the CeraVe and Seraphim 1 to 100th scale 2-pack. Now, I have to tell you guys before I get into this, it only comes with 2 beam sabers. I'm actually taking the other 4 that you'd need for the full beam saber look from the RX-79 ground type and the GM Sniper master grades, which are the only other 2 beam sabers that I have. Like the only other 2 beam sabers, sets of beam sabers in this scale that I have. Now, first off, here's the Seraphim. He is awesome. He really sort of gets more Gundam appearance with this guy. I mean, the whole he seems a lot more solid than the 1 to 144th. And I reviewed the 1 to 144th on this channel already, so if you want a comparison, go back and look at them. But I didn't bring him in here because he's got the GNHWB or GNHWM or R or A. B, M, or R, I think, are the only 3 letters we've had so far. His transformation is a lot better. He's a lot less a parts former. Like, you still have to pop the head off. That would be a perfect grade before we got one that you didn't have to pop the head off. Probably maybe a mega size perfect grade. Because I don't know, like, at what point we'd have the technology to get this thing to work. But anyway, so to transform him into the backpack. Oh yeah, and you can do from the show, you can put the fins do still suffer from a bit of a problem because they are articulated, but you can do the whole full burst mode where he just sort of sits there like this and then radiates out and kills all of the Gaga units. The Gadess, I think the Gadessa and the Garazo are the other 2 that are there. And so anyway, to transform him, you pop off the head. I'm gonna close this up. Okay. On the other one, I just gave up on these, but there's a polycap in there this time around, so it's a little better. But what you do is you put the fins facing forward, like so. Then you sort of put them a little closer together. There, like so. And then to transform it into full burst mode, you just sort of spread them out. Like so, and like so. Actually, I can't get into full burst mode. There. Oh. The problem is the way you do it is really just sort of asks for these pegs to pop out. Being a no grade, I mean, if we ever got a master grade CeraVe, undoubtedly it would probably come with Seraphim in it, because Seraphim is a major part of CeraVe. And the face burst mode would probably have some other hinge, some other type of mechanism. But anyway, to transform the legs, it's slightly different. What you do is you sandwich the knees against the back of the leg, and then if you do it just right, if you have the knees at just the right angle, you can get it to work out. Now for the other side, you do the same thing. And some of you may be speculating the reason I got this guy right now may be because I'm going to get the 00 Riser Master Grade, and because I do like Tyria, so that would be the reason. And you would be partially correct. I'm not going to get the Riser. I'm not. And I may not get the 7 Sword if it's just the 7 Sword. If it's the 7 Sword G, I'll get it. Because I like the GN Rifle too is awesome. The GN Sword Gun, or whatever it's called, is awesome. I mean, I have to say, I like it. But if you don't get that, then I'm just gonna pass on that guy altogether and wait to see if we get just a 00 Gundam. But yeah, I doubt it, because I did watch Robert 184's review, and he did say that he doubted we'd get one, and he's a lot more of an expert than I am, so I'll take his word for that. So sadly, I don't think I'll be getting the 1/100th Master Grade 00 Gundam. Oh yeah, and just something I want to get into before we get too far into the transformation. If you look there, you've got a hole in the back for an LED light. Yes, you could put an LED in for face burst. So you can have the burst mode, like the face lit up, like really well lit up, which is awesome. Now I'll show you, there's a place for an LED for the face too, which I really kind of want to get to green LED units now. As opposed to the 6 you'd need for the 00, I think you need 6. It's either 4 or 6 that you need to make him perfect. So anyway, yeah, here's the Seravi with the Seraphim attached. I have to say, this guy feels a lot better, like a lot better feel. It's a lot heavier and a lot nicer than the 1/144th. Oh, and the back of the legs lock into the back skirt. And this guy can actually kneel because of a special joint. The front skirt actually pops up despite being so small. And that actually comes into play when you flip the cannons up in some poses, because they do go right under the front skirt. And there you go. And now for the moment we've all been waiting for, and actually I have too, because I haven't done this up to this point. The 6 beam saber version, where you have him with all 6 of his beam sabers, and you get the knee hands. Now be careful. The hands for the knees have pegs, like so, whereas the hands for the actual Seraphim's hands have. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Yeah, these beam sabers barely fit into the hands. I mean, they are so close to not fitting in. That's actually, that was pure luck that I got that in. I don't know if I'll be able to do it with all 4 others, but the effect should be eye-pleasing. But the thing that I had the Seravi doing was his 2 beam sabers being held by his knees, his 2 bazookas being held by his shoulders, and him reading a newspaper. I had that pose for a while, which was kind of funny. But I took it out of that pose because it was really comical, and Gundam plus comic equals not Gundam. But yeah. So now for the RX-79 ground types beam sabers to go into the Seraphim's hands. A lot tighter fit, actually. No, actually about an equally as tight and scary feel to that. Oh god, this is starting to get ridiculous. If you could get a good pose with this, you are golden, because this thing looks freaking amazing with all 6 beam sabers. And actually, the RX-79 ground types, if I get the EZ-8, I may just do this, because I know I'm not going to use... I may use the EZ-8s, actually. No, you know what? I'll have him with the, the missile pod that the sniper came with, because I don't really like the missile pod with the sniper. I'm going to have the sniper with his sniper rifle, so his beam sabers would be open anyway. But yeah, so anyway, here. The epic beam blasting Seravi. if you got 6 00 beam sabers and did that, that would be a freaking amazing pose to have, just like all 6 of the beam sabers. I mean, you could do like them in different angles, but I didn't want to do that because I felt that it would look weird to have the. He could technically sword fight himself. And if you reposition the arms, you can get some really nice poses like this. Then with the CeraV, just position them a little differently. And then you can get one that's not so. And if you then bring the leg down, like have him charging forth with this, that is pretty freaking cool. But yeah, so pop the excess hands out with the beam sabers in, because I don't think I'm going to be able to detach them. Now I'm going to retransform the Seraphim at the end, because I want to show you something that Robert 184 said the Seraphim had a hard time doing, but I beg to differ. I mean, I've gotten him to do it perfectly a few times. Not just once, I've actually had him doing it quite a few times, and for a while. I actually had him displayed like this for about a week. I had my own side story where the Gaga units, I think it's Gaga, got something like that, I don't know. But those little suicide units that appeared in the final battle of Gundam 00, the final big battle where everybody had their extra equipment, except for the archer, because she's not important enough. No. But technically yes, at the same time. She didn't get any extra equipment, but yeah. I'm actually going to detach the Seraphim, because the one problem that I find with this guy is getting him posed is a bit of a difficulty, because the Seraphim is heavier in this one. In the 1-144th, the peg really helped a lot because the peg was really deep. This one, the peg isn't very deep, and the legs are a lot heavier because they do have a bit of inner frame, like inner workings. And so you'll get problems. But the bazooka, the CeraV can hold his bazooka perfectly, like, with no issues whatsoever, in both the closed mode, like so. And the closed mode actually tooths together and looks really nice doing it, like so. I actually spent a lot of time working that out, trying to get that to work perfectly. And then it has the burst mode, where you could see the teeth in there, and those teeth lock together and help it stay in the perfect mode when it holds together. But then you could also take this peg out of his hand, bend that peg down. I find it's easier just to bend one of these pegs back than have him hold it. Then once it's in his hand, just switch the hand down a bit. Then get the Seraphim backpack back on, which is a pain in the butt sometimes. This guy, I think this guy's Seraphim is a lot worse than the 1-144th, so whereas this guy gets a whole lot better, he also suffers from a bit of an issue with the Seraphim. And I'll just do the top half of the CeraV doing this, but yeah, you can get the combined cannon. I'm not even gonna attempt it, but here, I actually split the legs off because they're really heavy and they don't help with the weight. Like, the weight of this thing makes it sometimes just split apart. And I'll leave that horn off, but yeah, there's a peg in here. Instead of it just resting in by friction, it's actually pegged in solidly, and you can, and it's not coming out of there. I could hold the CeraV. I'd be confident enough to reattach the legs and do this. The only thing that I think may fail if they do this when I do this, and that makes me want to pop it out of here and pop it into the leg one, which